Welcome back to week 2 of fraction. We're talking dividing fraction. We have simplified. We have multiplied. Now we are going to divide, the exact opposite of multiplication. Problem today, 4 multiplication problems. Watch your negatives and don't forget to simplify. Pause. Come back when you're ready. Here we go. All right, a little review really quick just to kind of prime the engine here. Which of these fractions in simplest form? Remember, the definition of simplest form is the only thing you can divide out of top and bottom is 1. 3 and 7, all I can divide out of both top and bottom is 1. Same thing with 9 and 11. 30 over 40, well, I know I can divide 10 out of both of them at the very least. 9 and 18, I can divide 9 out of both top and bottom. Okay, there are a couple rules that we have talked about when it comes to simplifying fractions. The most common and most effective is to find your GCF, or greatest common factor, and then divide the numerator and denominator by your GCF. Most efficient way right there. And we talked about a couple ways to find that GCF. There's the double mountain, there's the single mountain method. Double mountain, find the factors of both. I'm climbing the mountain. 1, 2 goes in because it's even. 2 times 6 is 12. 3 goes in because 1 plus 2 is 3, and 3 is divisible by 3, obviously. So 3 times 4 makes 12. The next number I check is 4. It's on the other side of the mountain, so I'm done. 30. 1 times 30 is 30, obviously. 2 goes in because it's even. Remember, you can look back at your old packet to find those divisibility rules for all the numbers 1 through 10. 3 goes in. 3 times 10. 4 does not go in because when I divided by 2, I got an odd number, 15. 5 goes in because it ends in 0. 5 times 6 is 30. Next number I check is 6. I'm on the other side of the mountain, so I am done. Now I'm going to look through those lists, find the biggest number in both lists. So I go left to right, and the first number I find that's in both of them is 6. 12 divided by 6 is 2. 30 divided by 6 is 5. So my answer is 2/5. The single mountain method asks you to just simply use one of those numbers and find the factors, usually the smallest. So 28, 1 and 28, it's even, so 2 goes in. 2 times 14. 3 does not go in because 2 plus 8 makes 10, which I cannot divide evenly by 3. 4 goes in because when I divided by 2, I got even number, 14. Another way to get when you divide by 4, divide whatever the other factor, the pair to 2 was, divide that by 2. So 14 divided by 2 is 7. 5 does not go in because it doesn't end in a 0 or a 5. 6 does not go in because 2 and 3 weren't in there. So then I go through and I divide each number. 35 divided by 28 doesn't work. 35 divided by 14 doesn't work. 35 divided by 7 does. That's our greatest common factor. 28 divided by 7 is 4. 35 divided by 7 is 5. 4/5 is our answer. The last method we talked about was guess and check. I only taught that because that's what students tend to use anyway. It's not the best method. You know this. I see 18 and 72. They're both even, so I'm going to divide by 2. It should give me 9 over 36. A lot of students stop there because they just guess. You have to guess and check. I see that 9 and 36, I can divide a 3 out of both of those. 3 over 12. I can divide another 3 out of those. Move it down here. My answer is 1/4. Can't divide anything out of both top and bottom of those. Go ahead and give 1 and 2 a try. Pause. Come back when you're ready. All right, number 1 should come out to be 1/3. Remember, we talked about how with number 2, if you have examples where there's zeros like that, an eye for an eye is 0 for a 0. 3 over 50 becomes 3/5. Now, double check after you do that. It's kind of like the guess and check method. 3 and 5, though, don't have anything other than 1 in common. Multiplying fraction. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, so I'm going to go through it quick. Just multiply straight across, multiplying your numerators and your denominators. Numerator and denominator. And then you have to always, of course, like any fraction problem, simplify. 2 times 9 is 18. 3 times 12 is 24. It's not in simplest form. I have to divide a 6 out of both top and bottom to get 3/4. Well, let's try one of these together for sake of time. Remember, one quick shortcut. You can simplify before. I see one set of 3. I see 2 sets of 3. 1 times 5 is 5. 4 times 2 is 8. Even if you simplify beforehand, always double check, but 5/8 is correct. Dividing and reciprocals. Now, you can't just divide a fraction by a fraction that easily. If you look right here, you can't write a fraction inside a fraction. But we do know that because multiplication and division are inverse or opposite operations, so therefore the opposite of division, if I need to flip things around, is multiplication. So our rule: multiply the first fraction by the reciprocal of the second fraction. The reciprocal is essentially the flipped version. Just like multiplication is the opposite of division, we're going to take this fraction and inverse it, or invert it, flip it around. 3/9 becomes 9/3. Let's try writing the inverse of these, the reciprocal. 5 over 8 is 8 over 5. I apologize, inverse is the incorrect term, guys. Inverse would require a negative. 3/7 become 7/3. See, I'm just writing the reciprocal. I'm flipping it over, putting it on its head. Negative 45 over 37 would become 37 over negative 45. Now, we talked about how whole numbers can be written as anything over 1. So that means the reciprocal of a whole number is 1 over that whole number. Give 1 through 4 a try, pause, and come right back. All right, here we go. 3/4 should be 4/3. Negative 6 should be, remember, whole numbers is just 1 over the whole number. 5/8 becomes 8/4. Negative 1/3 can become negative 3. Just like a whole number goes under the 1, if you flip it around the other way, you put it over the 1, or just make it a whole number. Dividing fractions. The reciprocal concept comes very, very much in handy right here. Change the second fraction to its reciprocal. Change division to multiplication. Because we're using the opposite, or not the opposite, we're taking the reciprocal and flipping around that fraction, we're going to flip around division and make it multiplication. Then just simply multiply the fractions, just like we've done in the past. If we know one set of rules, stick to what we know. First fraction stays the same, 8/5. Second fraction, take its reciprocal, 10/7. And we're going to multiply instead. 8 times 10 is 80. 5 times 7 is 35. I'm going to simplify. I'm going to divide top and bottom by 5. I should get 16/5. Now again, turn that into a mixed number. There's 3 sets of 5 in there. Find an eraser. Three sets of 5. That makes 15. 16 minus 15 is 1/5. Again, I will accept improper fractions. That is fine. Let's try one more together. First fraction stays exactly the same. Division turns into multiplication. The second fraction flips, or we take its reciprocal. Now again, we can go through and we can simplify beforehand even. 12 is just 3 sets of 4, and 4 is 1 set of 4. 3 times 3 is 9. 8 times 1 is negative 8, because negative 8 times 1 is negative. Again, as an improper fraction, this would be negative 1 and 1/8. That negative would come out front. Give 1 through 4 a try. Come back when you're ready. All right, let's walk through one of them together, and then just give you the answers to the others. 5/2. Division becomes multiplication. 3/10. Take the reciprocal of the second fraction. You should get 15/20. I see a set of 5 in each of those. So that's 3/4. Number 2 should be 14/20, which is 7/10. Remember, I'm not writing these out, I'm just giving you the answer. -15/8. Remember, you can leave it as an improper fraction. 30/30. Remember, anything with a numerator and denominator that are the same is equal to 1. Homework is the quiz review. You do have a quiz tomorrow in class, so please take this seriously. The quiz review always looks just like your quiz. It's 2 pages. We have some division. We have multiplication. We have simplifying. All answers must be simplified. All right, guys, thank you very much, and I will see you in class.